kindness, etc., etc. And then he told us, because he wanted us to know that those are the correct attributes to have in our own lives.
Yes.
And then he said that that was for all people, all mankind, not just Israel. And then he told us we are his beloved people, because he was giving us a mission to be a light unto the nations. And he gave us the Torah in order to have a guideline as to how to live our lives. And in other words, he's saying to Jewish people, you are my beloved people, because I'm giving you a task to perform in this world. Here's your guideline.
Yeah, I like that. Again, remember, it doesn't say that we are a light unto the nations here. It says that we are his children.
I know, but he's giving us a task. He's saying, you, my children, you have a task to perform.
What is our task? So you're saying our task is to...
Our task is to...
Yeah.
Is to build a good world. World of truth and kindness and what do they call it? You say in Hebrew,
B'malchus Shakai, a kingdom of God.
Yes, we're tasked to improve the world.
Yes. So now, what we're digging deeply into here.
I don't think that is different. I think that it's additional, because you could be this non-judgmental, accepting of everyone else, because if you're the child, and God is completely accepting of you as you are, it's also telling you be like that to the rest of the world, because everyone then is perfect as he is. And that if you're doing all that you're saying, which name is the guy that was just speaking,
Alan.
You could do it that.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, you could do it from that point of view.
Let me add to these two things here, and let's just understand this, okay? Alan, what you're essentially saying, if I can just repeat for anyone or everyone, is that the task that Hashem has given us is to recognize that we are made in the image of God, and that just like the attributes of God are merciful, compassionate, giving, etc., etc., we need to emulate those attributes to the world. And the means for doing that is the Torah. Yeah, is that what you're saying? Okay, so
essentially that's the guidance.
I like that. Now I'm going to show you how what you're saying and how we were learning this Mishnah according to Rabbi Nachman and the Maharal is essentially one and the same thing. Okay, and that is, how does a person imitate the attributes of God? How do you become a compassionate, giving, loving, accepting person? How do you do that? What do you essentially need to calibrate within in order to be that? And what we're understanding here is that it's not coming from without. It's not that I'm saying to myself, I need to give. It's not that I'm saying to myself that I need to be accepting. It's not today saying to myself that I need to stop being angry. It's saying that I need to redefine who I am. Now, if I'm defining myself by me, i.e. the external me, yeah, if I'm defining myself by Shmuel, well, I don't really stand a chance. I really don't, yeah? The Shmuel is just an egoic, thick membrane of flesh and self-absorption. But if I now redefine myself as the essence of God, and that essence of God is also essentially what every human being, living being, created force of this world is subsumed by. But again, back to me. If I define myself by the essence of godliness, then when I don't feel like giving, the shmuel in me doesn't feel like giving, but I understand that that's not who I am, that I'm essentially the godliness that's inside of me, that feels like giving. That essentially in my core, in my deeper self, feels like fundamentally giving, feels like fundamentally being connected to the essence of life. Now, you're right that the methodology here, or the tool, or the framework of tapping into this is the Torah, 100%. The Torah is meant to teach us this. The Torah is meant to give us a framework to allow us to awaken, to allow us to evolve in our consciousness. But it's not coming from the externals of, I need to do more. It's coming from the reshifting. It's almost opening the faucet of the godliness that's inside, which automatically what flows out is Torah, mitzvahs, is compassion, love, kindness, acceptance, is patience, etc., etc. Yeah. So that's what it's saying here, and that's essentially how we started off. What is Tzelem Elokim? Tzelem Elokim is the ability to control oneself. But again, how are we controlling ourselves? Because there is always going to be circumstances that are going to make us feel angry, feel scared, feel uncertain. But when a person redefines and understands, well, what is it that's making me feel angry, scared, uncertain? It's the external me, not the inner me, not the godliness in me, not the Tzelem Elokim in me. Then a person in that state is going to be able to choose. They're going to say, well, I understand I feel like this, but it's not actually I, capital I, that feels like this. It's the external I that feels like this. Let me reframe. Let me dig deeper into my essence to see how I should really respond to this circumstance. Yeah. Now, wow, I'm a light to the nations. Now I'm exuding the essence of God. Now I've brought godliness into this world. Now I've sanctified the name of God in this world, because essentially I've recognized that there is godliness inside of me. That's how you're sanctifying God. Yeah. So that's, I think, a deeper interpretation, especially when it says, not that we're a light unto the nations, that we are God's children. But God's children stems from the fact that we realize there's nothing that we need to do to actually be, to actually exist, to be worthy of our existence. You understand? And once we come to that recognition of who essentially we are, then we're actually able to come out from that place. Yeah, it says in the Zohar that the essence of life, or the purpose of life, is to start off being a pit filled from without, to turn into a wellspring that is filled from within. Yeah, and essentially that's what's taking place here. That we have to understand we flow from within, not from without. Okay, I'm not sure if that made sense to you there, Alan. Good. All right. Yeah.
Rabbi, can I say something?
Yes, you can, Jenny.
The other day when we were discussing Perek 13, Perek 13, הוא היה אומר, כל שרוח הבריאות נוחה hemenu. If the spirit of one's fellows is pleased with him, the spirit of the omnipresent is pleased with him. It affected me a lot. And I think that you were saying that we need to calibrate ourselves to our souls. And our soul is kind of Hashem. And it's the same thing. What this is saying is that we need to calibrate ourselves to understand that we are Hashem, we are perfect as we are. Could that be? It's very linked.
Yeah, definitely. Now understand that it doesn't mean that you can do what you want to do now. It doesn't mean that you're now functioning and say, well, I'm just perfect. I can just carry on with my life. I don't have to do anything. No. What it means is once you've essentially awoken to the essence of who you are, then there's a completely different flow that takes place. The activity that a person engages with from that perspective is totally different, totally different. But it's not that I need to prove myself. It's that I flow differently. So how am I flowing now? Well, I'm an accepting, loving, compassionate, patient person. Now the Torah, i.e. prayer and learning and mitzvahs and Shabbos and what I eat and all of the sensitivities surrounding that are essentially guidelines and frameworks to allow a person to firstly awaken to their essence, awaken to who they are. But number two, to keep them safe. Because if a person, just rests on their laurels and says, well, essentially I'm God, well, they're actually in a very dangerous circumstance. A person should never trust themselves until the day of their death. And you'll see that if you don't feed yourself constantly and you feed yourself healthfully, then you're going to actually put yourself into a dangerous circumstance. And same to the Torah are the continual nutrients that a person needs to have a healthy awareness of who they essentially are. That's what the Torah is there to be doing, to reawaken and remind and recalibrate constantly to the essence of who we are. Yeah. So that's a very important concept here that we're understanding. Just to conclude again, to be a light unto the nations, it's not that we're a light unto the nations that everyone needs to do Torah. We're a light unto the nations that everyone has to awaken to who they essentially are. That's what it means to be a light to the nations. Once we've realized who we are, we have to show essentially what it means to live that way, okay? But again, it's very, very almost impossible. The Zohar says that it will take a person about 2,000 light years to try and discover this type of thinking and this type of methodology and retain that sense of self, essential self, without the Torah. The Zohar is saying a person is able to really calibrate the self much quicker and much more succinctly through the realm and through the avenues and through the parameters of the Torah. That's why it's so fundamental. That's why it's one of the most powerful tools. And Hashem has told us, I've given you this tool, all right? Use it and use it perfectly. It's a science here. Do it perfectly, everything down to the T. Otherwise, you're the one that's going to suffer, not me. Hashem doesn't care. The only thing Hashem cares about is that you are actually able to redefine and retune yourself to essentially who you are. Okay? But Hashem has given you the Torah, or us the Torah, for ourselves, not for Him, for ourselves to awaken to the essence of who we are. That's why Hashem has given us the Torah. It's for our own benefit, as it says here. He's given us a lekach tov. Don't neglect it. Saying, I've given you the greatest gift. Are you dof? I've given you the greatest gift. Use it. Use it for you, not for me, for you. Use the gift. Don't neglect it. Don't leave it there on your shelf, not realizing what it is. We discovered a couple of months ago, someone gave us an heirloom. And it was like these old, plates, these old pottery plates, and I was like, what is this? Some antique, what is this? And the other day I was looking at these plates and I turned the plate around just to look at what these plates were. And it said that one of the plates, along with a kettle or, one of those pouring things for tea, was from the 1600s. 1600s. That's where it was one of the most expensive collector pieces of pottery that you could have. So I'm like, wow, that's insane. Insane. I had no idea. And that's essentially what's happening. We're looking at the Torah and saying, oh, it's this archaic, thing that doesn't really have any relevance, and what, we have to placate God. And no, are you crazy? This is one of the biggest gifts for you. This is going to give you life. This is going to reawaken you, to give you patience, to give you resilience. I just muted David. To give you an awakening, yeah? So that's the essence here. What I'm confused about is we have two Davids here on the screen. We have David Rose, and then we have David Rose 2. And I think David has done this as an awakening for ourselves to understand that there's the David Rose, and then there's the David Rose 2. To understand that everyone has the essential version of themselves, which is the godliness, and then there is the secondary version of themselves, which is the David Rose 2, and that's the external part of ourselves. So thank you for that, David. We can see essentially who we are, and it's a very beautiful tool that you've given us to awaken to our deeper selves. Thank you for that, David.
I want to say one more thing, please.
Wow, that's amazing.
Can I?
Yes, of course.
Can I say one more thing? I'm thinking that the awareness of being perfect is not for yourself. It is for yourself as well. But just that idea that everybody is everybody is made in the image of man.
God.
It is a completely different world once you take that on. And I think that we don't take that on. The world is not like that. It's all about value. People value each other. They've got these external scales.
Yeah.
With which that even we've got to take this on as our children, for our children, because we always put these ideas that they're not good enough. I mean, we love them unconditionally, but we do set these high standards. You know, my son, the doctor, so I'm just saying that this is a very important tool, because if we used it, the world would be completely different. We would be evaluating things in a completely different way.
Definitely. So what we're learning here, and I think this really shifted dramatically in the industrial age, where we saw ourselves as cogs in a machine. And if we weren't effective as a cog, then we were worthless. Then we didn't have value. And essentially what we're seeing here with the shift that has been catalyzed through the Megafa, through the plague, through the pandemic, is we're not cogs. We are not machines. And our worthiness and our value and our essential state of being is sacrosanct. It is not premised on anything. And that's what it's teaching us here, to love the deeper self, to understand the essence of who we are is perfect. It could be that our activity is not perfect, but that our activity is only not perfect when it's stemming from the external self, not from the internal self. Yeah, that's the recalibration here. That is the teaching. What I'm going to do now is, thank you, Filippo. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to do 2 Rabbeinu Yonas on this Mishnah here, okay?